Hi, Mobos. How are you?
Excellent.
Good. So, Celia did an interactive thing, and I love interactive things, so I'm going to ask you to do an interactive thing. I would like you all, when I give you the signal, to clap once, as hard as you possibly can, so hard that your palms sting, okay? So it's not going to hurt you a lot. So just, you'll do this, so like 1, 2, 3, and then clap so that your palms sting. Everybody okay with that? Ready? Okay, so 1, 2, 3, clap. Okay, so you feel that? Everybody got that? Yeah. So this presentation is about how we experience the world. And we perceive the world when energy, which was that for you, is received by one of your sensory receptors, and a signal then travels up your nervous system, we all know this, and goes into your brain, and your brain forms an image, not necessarily a visual image, but an image or a mental concept, or sometimes it's called a precept, of that thing. So all of you have a mental image of a little bit of stinging in your hand, right? The interesting thing is that none of this takes place outside of you. It all takes place inside of you. We don't actually interact with the world of objects. We interact with the world of perceptions, or percepts, that are inside us. So a lot of philosophers over the years, this is badly crooked. A lot of philosophers over the years have said things kind of like this. This is the way the Buddha said it. He said, our thoughts create the world. With our thoughts, we make the world. And Plato said something similar to that. And Marcus Aurelius said something similar to that. And Gandhi said something similar to that. And it's all about how the world that we experience is actually an internal world. But here's the interesting thing. It is not just religion or philosophy. It's actually science that tells us that this is true. How many people would agree with the statement that we have 5 senses? Can I see a show of hands? Okay, so we got, how many would say that we have 6? We got a lot more. How many would say that we have more than 40? Not much. 1. Cool. 2. Cool. Neuroscientists don't know exactly how many senses that we have, but there is a general agreement that we probably have more than 40 senses. And I'm going to run through some of them you may not agree with. Some of them you're going to say, oh yeah, that's true, I never realized that. So let's go through it really quickly. So we've got the sight, we all know that one. We got the hearing, that's one of the, the big 5. We got smell, and we've got touch, and we've got taste. But then there are some more. For example, we perceive color. And some scientists say that we may even have different receptors, we didn't actually know that we have different receptors, for different colors. So you can break sight down into a number of other senses for color. We experience cold. Not exactly the same as touch. Related, but not. We experience pain. Again, not exactly the same as touch, but related. We experience tickle. We experience itches. Again, similar to touch, but not touch. We experience warmth, and interestingly you'll see that hot isn't here because most scientists think that hot is a combination of cold and warm. We experience pressure. Again, not touch. You know how deeply you are being touched, how hard you're being touched, and it's a little bit different. We experience inertia. We know when we accelerate. We know when we decelerate. It's pretty clear. We all know it. We all, if we didn't experience this, we'd be in a lot of trouble, experience balance. We know that our feet are on the ground. We know that we can do this. We know that we're not doing that. We experience balance. It's not one of the other 5. Some people have geomagnetic senses. We certainly know that certain animals have geomagnetic senses that allow them to navigate around the world. Some people experience nocturnality. They know when it's nighttime. They're different when it's nighttime. And similarly, some people experience diurnality. They know when it's daytime, and they are different when it's daytime. Gravity. We all experience gravity. It's not touch, it's not sound, it's not sight, but we know that we are being pulled into the earth. So we experience that. Direction. Some people have a very lousy sense of direction. I have a son who's like that. Some people have a wonderful sense of direction. They know where they are in the universe. In fact, there's a tribe in Australia that does not say left, right, ever. They say north, south. So they'll be facing this direction, this would be the way it would work. They would say, my north arm, right? And when they do this, they would say, my north arm. Right? So different arm, same descriptor. Some people have a sense of time. We know how fast it goes, how slow it goes. You know what proprioception is? Anybody know what that is? Okay, here's proprioception. Close your eyes, stick one hand out, take your other hand and clap that first hand. Everybody knows where their body is in space. And if you don't know, except you. If you don't know where your body is in space, then you've got serious problems. In fact, Oliver Sacks wrote this interesting story. Everybody knows Oliver Sacks, the man who mistook his wife for a hat, wrote this interesting story about a woman who lost her sense of proprioception. She couldn't eat. She literally had to teach herself by watching a fork go into her mouth how to eat again, because she had no idea where her body was in space. Some of us experience joy. Now, you may say joy is an emotion. Some people say it's a sense. We have a sense of longing. We know when there's incompleteness, when we need more. We have a sense, the reverse, of satisfaction. We all know when we're hungry. What is that? Is that one of the 5 senses? No. We know when we're hungry. We know when we're thirsty. We know when we're no longer hungry or thirsty. We know when we're experiencing well-being, when we feel healthy, when we feel good. Again, not one of the 5. Conversely, we know when we're ill. Some people have a very good sense of perspective. Some people have a powerful sense of beauty, of awe. People have a sense of rhythm, and there are a lot of people who don't have a sense, clearly. Musical pitch is another. Not sound per se, but musical pitch. Kinesthesia, that is the movement of body in space. And then, of course, there's also synesthesia. Some of you know about this. It's some people see sounds or hear colors. It's the mixing of senses. We have a sense of differentiation. We know when things are the same, and we know when they're different. It's very clear that we are able to sense differentiation. We know when we're tense. We know when we're relaxed, when there's release. We certainly know fear. We know when we're tired. Isn't that amazing? You know when you're tired. You know when you're nauseous. Everybody's had that feeling when you're just about to throw up. You have that feeling. It's clearly not one of the 5 other senses. And let me peek here. Yeah, nobody's going to disagree with this one. In fact, we can share that one. So I went through about 45. As I said, you may not agree with all of them. In fact, I missed some of them that people say are senses. But it's very, very clear that we have a far more complex relationship with the universe around us than simply sight, sound, taste, touch, and so on, and hearing. Much more complex. So I need a volunteer for the next part of this, and I've asked Jonathan to come up here. So Jonathan, if you come up. So Jonathan is going to be Mr. Sense. So just stand there, please. Now, this is tricky. So your job, Jonathan, is to not to let anything slip off the end. Okay? So I just want to review, thanks Jonathan, I just want to review some of these things here. So we've got, it's not in the same order, here's some of the senses we talked about. Here's the one with kinesthesia. I'm making a big mess, no problem. Here is proprioception. You've got good proprioception. There's the duty. Oops, we lost something there, no problem. We got hunger, we got pain stuff. Please don't let this drop off, Jonathan. And we've got our big five, our original five. And I don't know where those went. Okay, so, but we forgot something, didn't we? Okay, so I need, here, Jonathan, sometimes people get tired, so I'm going to just put, do you mind if I put it on your forehead? So Jonathan, don't get too tired. You're going to be staying there for a while. And then I mentioned this one, didn't I? Okay. And I'm sorry about this, Jonathan. So we've got these 45 or so senses. But, you okay? Don't lose your senses here. So, but that's not all, because there is a difference in the acuity of senses of different people. Some people have very sharp senses, and some people have very dull or cloudy senses. And there's a whole raft of things that cause that. So I have asked Henji to be another volunteer. Henji, can you come on up? Where are you?
Yeah, coming.
Oh man, he went to take a smoke break. So Henji is going to be our Mr. Acuity. Here we go. Thank you. Just want to hold this just like John. Jonathan, you know what? I can take tiredness off your head if you want me to. Would you like me to do that? Just put it over here so you can see what's going on. Okay, so. Acuity can change with age. I know, as an old guy, that my eyes are not as good as they used to be. It could be a congenital, oh, you lost your tire. Well, no. Congenital condition is a possibility. Training, we talked about music. People who are trained in music have a better sense of music. There may be natural variation, there may be general health, and there's noise from the outside environment. When it's really loud, we don't sense other sounds as clearly or as well. And then there are genetic makeup or genetic mutation. You could have an accident and have one of your senses affected. You could have a disease. You could have your physical state maybe low. Maybe you don't have much energy. And your emotional state, you may be distracted. And for all those reasons, your acuity may be affected. So there's another element to the equation, and I've got another volunteer, and that's Rishi. Come on up here. And that is that we also interpret all of these things that happen to us. So we have the different senses that energy acts on. Watch out there, my friend. You got that? So we interpret. And we interpret based on, we interpret based on family experience, social class, social status. We view the world in a different way. Economic status, our culture, our marital status, our ethnicity, our mother tongue. Here's a good example, by the way. In Russian, anybody speak Russian here?
No.
Because then I don't have to worry about my pronunciation. So there's, in Russia, they don't have blue. They have two blues. They have singy, which is a dark blue, and they have goluboy, which is a light blue. And to Russians, they actually see two different colors. We see a range of blues, but Russian people, I have a sister-in-law who's Russian, she says, no, there are two different colors. So your tongue, your mother tongue, may have an impact. And those of you who speak Italian know that there's a similar two words for blue in Italian. Then, once again, your physical state and your emotional state can affect your interpretation, your general health, your stage of life, whether you're old or young, your values, and then finally your expectations, your ambitions, your fantasies, your physical gender, your gender preference. All of those things are going to allow you, or going to force you, to interpret it in a different way. Now, I had two other volunteers, but we obviously don't have room. Here's what happens. Here's what happens. A signal, one of those pieces of energy, whether it's a clap of your hands or something that you see with your light, comes in this end. And it goes through all of these things, and it comes out this end where you see, feel, hear, touch something. Anybody know what a pachinko game is? You know that great little game? It's kind of like a pachinko game. So the little ball of energy comes in here, it goes bing, 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 and it comes out God knows where. And the number of combinations and permutations with which an individual can perceive a given stimulus are infinite. And what that means is that no two people can possibly perceive the same thing in the same way. It's completely unique. It is more, from a mathematical point of view, more unlikely that two people will perceive the same thing in the same way than it is to have two snowflakes that will be identical. So guys, I want to thank you very much. You can just let your guards down. But it doesn't end there. It doesn't end there. Because human beings, like most animals, also have something called hedonotaxis. Hedonotaxis means a movement towards what we like. Hedonism and taxis. And there's also algotaxis, which is a movement away from what we don't like. We all organize our experiences according to what we like and what we don't like. So what that means is that we organize the experiences and we react to those experiences based on like and don't like, as well as all of these other things. And the ultimate result, of course, is that no two people see the world in exactly the same way. So does that make sense? I hope so. But here's the other weird thing. We're all human. And we all think, whether we do so consciously or not, we all think that our view of the world is the right one. The way I see the world is the way the world is. And it's always right. It's always correct. But clearly, that's impossible. Because if every single human being who is now alive and whoever lived and whoever will live sees the universe in a different way, whose reality would be the right one?
That would be mine.
I was hoping you'd be here today. Whose reality would be the right one? And yet, isn't it amazing how much time and energy and effort we spend, all of us, in trying to prove that we're right. We're right. We're absolutely right. And yet, there's no right. Does that make sense? Of course not. That we do that? But we do it. But we do it. Has anybody ever had the experience of having an argument or a discussion with a friend where you have opposing points of view, and halfway through the discussion, you realize that your buddy is righter than you are, but you don't stop, because it's more important for you to be right than to be right. So is this a powerful, powerful thing that we do? Wouldn't it be great if we could just admit to ourselves that there is no such thing as a universal reality? That really what happens is stuff happens and we interpret it all the time. And I'll interpret it one way and you'll interpret it another way, and it doesn't make one of them right or one of them wrong. I talked earlier about people, whoa, we're almost there, thank you very much. This is Frank and my wife. We don't see things. We don't see things as they are, and I.S. Nin said this, but as we are. Wouldn't it be great if we just realized that that was the case? And wouldn't it be great if we all decided, and it is a decision, that the holy grail of personal development is literally not to take things personally. Because the big irony is, and the world is full of irony, if everything is totally individual, totally personal, totally you, it makes absolutely no sense to take it personally. The world isn't happening to you, you are in a sense happening to the world. Because basically, it's all us. It's all us. So this is pretty complex stuff, and when I do this in workshops, people say, oh my God, my head hurts now. And I can get that, I understand that. So the question is, how do you begin? How do you start this? The person who introduced me to this material was a fellow by the name of John Weir. He's no longer alive. But he used to say something that I love, and I'm inviting you to say it to yourself as well. And that is, we all go to the same different meeting together. In fact, we just have. Thanks very much. Thank you to the volunteers.
Is that the most creative use of PowerPoint that you've ever seen?